Today we're going to be speaking about postpartum depression. I hope that you get to learn, to enjoy, and feel free to share in your comments and views in regards to the topic. Oh, and my name is Grace Kenodia, psychologist by profession. Have fun and enjoy. I told you.
That was actually good. That was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that guy is going to sit down and cut.
That was pretty good.
Start.
Anyways, thank you for the introduction. That was quite nice. Thank you for coming back again. It was an honor to have you last time, and it's actually good to have you here because you actually explained that previous episode very well. And today, as you said, you're going to talk about postpartum depression. And thank you for the introduction. So yeah. So G, what is postpartum depression?
Okay, I'd say postpartum depression is a type of depression that affects both men and women. I know most people don't think it also affects men after childbirth. Or it can also begin before childbirth, but it comes mostly with baby fever or the changes that come in by welcoming a newborn.
Okay. Yeah. So also men get postpartum depression?
Yes, they do.
How is it different from the female perspective of postpartum depression?
This comes with change. For a woman, people assume it's the hormones, it's the change, etc. But also, when you're talking about kids, there are a lot of things that go by. There's the change in the relationship. At times, we have stillbirths. At times, we have miscarriages along the way. There are a lot of things that get to happen in the process, even pre and after the child is there. So that then again, if that was your child, men are also human too, so you can get affected in different ways. Yeah.
So for men to be affected, is it that they deny the kid? Is it that they tell the lady, the mother of the child and the child to get out of the house, or what's the effect for the men?
It doesn't have to be denial, actually. It can actually turn into something, maybe the reflex of it can be an obsession of the child, or maybe denial if something bad has happened. So at times it's the stress that comes in between those 9 months and at times even 5 years after childbirth, or even more if the changes were not addressed. You hear there is prenatal counseling before that, and there are people who go for post. Yeah.
Okay. So if I can ask you, I don't know if you've ever had any client who had ever gone through this type of depression, or the cases that have been there you've had, or a child has been thrown away mostly, or a child has been killed. So are these cases related to postpartum depression, or it varies?
It varies with the reason of what triggered the actions. Because you see, again, most of the time in mental health, there's no single way of ruling out something. Because you find some of these symptoms are overlaying. And one symptom, stress can be a symptom. It can be something in anxiety, it can be in depression, it can be bipolar. There are a lot of things that could, by the time somebody goes to, or a diagnosis is even made, there are a lot of things that, there are variables that have to be looked at. Yeah. But at times even the woman can still be having the child. A woman doesn't have to throw away the child or scream at the child to show that she's depressed. It could even turn into her self-esteem, self-image, body image, thinking she's too big, she's not good enough, she won't make a good mother, but also loves the child. Yeah. It could also be in terms of losses. They've lost the child has come in with a disability. There are a lot of things to look at. Yeah.
So what causes this postpartum depression to come into someone's life, especially the mother? Because I hear it's really rampant on the mother than the father.
Okay. One, it's like any type of depression. It could be genetic, it could be how the child, it could be the trauma during childbirth. What happened during childbirth? How was the pregnancy? Was it a smooth one? Was it complicated? How was it? Then what are the aftermath of the childbirth? Where some of the things that people don't talk about, everybody expects when you're giving birth, you're going to have, I'd say, what people call fully enabled, or at times you find the child has a disability or something. What's the thought process of, transitioning into that? How well can you be able? The people go through separation, they lose their spouse or husband or boyfriend or whatever. It could be the guy ran away or something happened, or he passed on through an accident or something, or he's ill. What happens through that? Yeah, it's a whole cycle.
It's a whole cycle.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long does it take? How long does the postpartum depression take?
It can even move from one child to another. Like at first it was not noticed, it was mild, it was not taken care of. Then after somebody gives birth to another child, it becomes major. These are not things, it can even happen. I remember there was a lady on social media who said the son was about 10 or 12 and people were, trying to bash her, why don't you love a son or why don't you love a child? But this is something that has somebody gave birth to this child. They were not ready, or whatever they thought motherhood was about is not what they expected. Because you see, nobody prepares you for these things unless you experience them. That's when you get to understand. Yeah.
So what about when it comes to the symptoms of this type of depression, the emotional symptoms and the physical, the one that you can see? Are there some symptoms that you can notice someone who's going through postpartum depression?
Emotionally, you can say withdrawn. At times, you can find neglect in the child, or maybe overprotectiveness because there's a trauma relating to it. They're afraid to lose the child, or something has happened before, or there are things that are happening. At times, there are people who even scream at small babies. They're tired, etc. And then the words people speak out. At times, somebody can say something in a joking way, but again, when you get to look at it more in a more deeper way, then you find that thing more serious. Physically, somebody can be lazy and tidy. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not clean. The environment where the child is not clean. They're not cooking. They're not feeding well. Maybe they're being violent. They can even be beating up the younger people, or even throwing things at the other people. Then when it comes to men, at times you might find a man is just outside the house. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to be somewhere else. He's stressed or something else. Then for men, it's even harder to notice because people don't expect. There's this famous saying that comes by, why are you acting up like you're the one who's pregnant? Because people don't expect men to go through the whole change of emotional things. And it's the strangest thing. It's also life that you've brought into earth, and people come from different places. There's how you want a child to be brought up. There's what you believe a family should be. What if that is not met, or what if your expectations are not met? Yeah.
Is there any possibility that someone can be diagnosed with postpartum depression?
Yeah, that's how you end up there.
Okay.
So after now a few psychiatric tests or a psychological assessment, after that, then your professional, be it a psychiatrist or psychologist, can get to decide this is what we're ending up to, or this is what we think you're undergoing. Then from there, you can start. In extreme cases, you can get mood stabilizers or medication from a psychiatrist. Then in other cases, behavior therapy helps.
Sometimes this is just a by the way question. Like, sometimes you can come home, maybe you had a very heavy day, a stressful day. You come back home, you know how kids are. Kids don't know that you have a stressful work day. And then maybe a kid is happy to see you, and then, like the dad or the mom, like, is tired, and then it's like, you know how parents do it sometimes. So people should differentiate between, like, just having a bad day and having the actual depression. So can we, sometimes people like confuse the two. I think so. Because someone can be like, this lady has postpartum and need two moods. So how can someone differentiate between like bad moods to postpartum depression?
Okay, I'm not sure how to call the second one or whatever you call it, but I think the basic skills. If you go in, your child, when you get to the house, you're a parent, so you're supposed to be a parent of this child, regardless. It doesn't matter where you're from, how long you've been with. This child needs a mother or a father. That's it. So I think the issue would be now on the parent. How do you work on your transition from work to the house? How do you play your different? That would be more of an issue of life skills. Are you able to maintain your two position as a employee or business person and as a parent? I think that's more of lucky in life skills. Things like, how do you learn to adjust? How do you learn to parent?
Yeah. So how can we prevent postpartum depression?
People need to understand before you get the journey of deciding. Plan for your kids. Decide how do you want to have your kids. What are some of the stresses that can you see before at hand? How do you deal with them? Most of the time people deal with these issues when they're already there. Like, do you sit down? Have you planned financially? Is there a medical history of maybe somebody your mother had postpartum, or anybody in your family has had that? Do you have traumatic issues that can be triggered once you go through the pain of labor? So those are some of the things. Plan in advance. For some, it's unavoidable. So some, once you notice you feel stressed, and also you don't have to see a professional because it's there. Do it even like for therapy, or even seeing a counselor. You don't have to be unwell, especially during that period, because it's change. Child, I think, especially if it's for the first time or whatever time, I think it's going to change your experience. This is somebody new bringing into life. You have to adjust. You have to play different errors. You have to game up. So for you to be able to, some people can do it in a snap, they know how to do it. Some people need extra support to go through that. Yeah.
Because you've said there's something that has captured my attention. You've said someone should plan in advance. I've ever heard of a case scenario whereby the lady was ready to have a child, like they had planned, they talked to the husband. Now it's the process, like 9 months, she gave birth. After she gave birth, she was just distance with the child. She got the depression. So how can it? What's your take on that? Because she was ready. She was actually ready. She was ready. Both the couple was ready for the relationship, for the child. They got the child, and then once the lady gave birth, she didn't want anything to do with the child. Actually, even the man was the one who was taking care of the kid, feeding and everything. The lady didn't want anything to do with that child. So what's your take on that?
So most of the time you find that this is a new experience, and every child, you can say just because you've been a mother before, you know how to deal. Not only here, every child is different in their own way. And we're talking about hormonal imbalance, body change, environment change. These are new things that are coming. Your body won't react, especially for the first timers. Your body has never had this. So it doesn't have an idea. So after this is what happens after this. And especially some women go through a lot, especially when it comes to body image, esteem issues. They start feeling big, they want to go, and some want to multitask, maybe go back to that job, that business they were going. People have plans, and there's cases and scenario whereby things don't flow the way you've planned. How do you get to learn how to adjust? How do you refocus? How do you deal with that? And then it could be also a medical condition. How do you go? There are things that are out of your control. You could have all the life skills, all the support, but still end up depressed. So how do you speak to your professional, your doctor or something, to seek in more support? And again, I say, no wonder we need, like the way you go to a hospital, and maybe for the 9 months, the mother goes for scans, etc., to be checked. Why not see your therapist or your counselor, just to make sure everything is in order?
All right, thank you. Still on that case, how can we be able to treat postpartum depression? What are the ways one can treat? Maybe you can refer to that case, or you can just tell us the normal way that someone can treat the postpartum depression.
Once you've identified there is an issue, the best way is to go to a professional. There are people who may decide, like, we can handle this, or support or love. Communication. Again, communicate. Once you know what you have, reach out for help, see a counselor. Counselor will take you through cognitive behavior therapy, or all of them. You can get somebody else to add you life coaching or extra skills, parenting skills, new mothers, all those skills that you feel that might come in handy. Then there's the cases whereby this is not just depression or that just came through that. This is something else, intellect, and only your professional can be able to say that. You can get medicated, you can be able to see your physician or something.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, please take us through, because you understand it better than us, and I want our viewers to have a bigger picture of it. I also want the society to understand that this is something that happens to our ladies back at home, in our society, and how we can help them. Someone can judge a lady. A lady can kill their child, which is wrong. I'm not saying it's not right. It's not right. It's not wrong, but people should understand there's more to just how can the society understand about this depression more, and you as a lady, how can you advise us, the men, and also the society at large, on how we can take about this depression that destroys our women out here and children?
Okay, again, I said it affects both men and women. So it's more of an obligation. Research, read the right materials, get equipped yourself with skills. Then the first thing, this is not, people pretend, or they're acting up, they're trying to get attention. The first person to get a child, you want to be the first person to end up in jail or kill your child or etc. But you need to check. When somebody has broken a leg, you don't go telling people it's not your first time to break a leg. Or when somebody is having a cold or something, malaria, you don't go telling people you think you're the first person to to do 1, 2, 3. People need to start treating mental health as an illness. It's not something people sign up for and decide, I want this, I'm going to live with this or something. So it's more of ask, how can you support, how can you come in, and if you realize somebody is undergoing that, how do you encourage them or look for a support system for them, because these things are there and it happens. Then the issue is, if it's not addressed early enough, you end up with broken family. families had kids, husband and wife fighting, but it's because of something that was overlooked. Yeah.
Alright. Thank you so much. Kindly also do us the honors to conclude the episode because you did a very good introduction. So, yes, kindly. You're not just a guest, like you've become part of us, and so please conclude for us.
Okay. Thanks a lot for having me, and it was an honor, and I enjoyed my time. I hope the viewers can get to enjoy this and they are able to learn something. You always send us your feedback. Text Myles, email him, or yeah, let us know what you think, or other topics that you feel that could be helpful in the future.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.